We'll go next to the very patient gentleman from Alaska, Mr. Begich. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Kratsios, can you describe the physical AI supply chain at a high level? Minerals, manufacturing, real estate, energy.
A very broad question, but broadly speaking, it covers a lot of what you said. It starts from critical minerals that lead into the larger semiconductor chain that go all the way up to the way that we build our data centers, to the models themselves that we use, that we train on top of those data centers, and then the applications that are built on top of those models.
What do you think are the most significant bottlenecks and limiting factors to the deployment of that physical AI capacity?
Well, I think in the United States, the growing bottleneck has been power, and that is why the president has been so focused and so determined to drive American leadership in energy and broadly energy abundance. I think these new data centers that are going to be powering a lot of this AI revolution need increased energy, and that's why the president has been so incredibly focused on deregulating and expanding energy production, on increasing grid reliability and security, on implementing permitting reform, on sort of reestablishing our leadership in nuclear energy. These are all things we have to get right if we want to have enough power to drive the AI revolution.
Are you concerned about the critical minerals availability, the actions by China to restrict the availability of certain critical minerals, and the mining regulatory environment as it exists today in the United States?
I think generally we believe that we have to be able to reshore and have reliable access to these critical minerals. And there's been a tremendous amount of action by the Department of War and by the Department of Commerce, using DPA authorities and others to make sure that we have the critical minerals that we need as a country to make sure that in a time of need, we have the supplies that we need to power our great technologies.
So while we're working on a lot of that regulatory reform codification here in Congress, given the bottlenecks and the regulatory barriers that you've identified, which global jurisdictions right now are best prepared for the deployment of physical AI capacity?
I think for us, we're still broadly evaluating where we want to focus our American AI export program. I think when we think about exporting American AI, I think sometimes there's a bit of confusion in the sense that the easy answer may be, oh, who has the most cheap power availability? That's where we need to go. The reality is that the number of global players around the world that have the money and the desire to be training very expensive, large-scale frontier models is quite small. The actual reality is that most countries around the world simply need sufficient inference capacity in order to run basic AI queries for the workloads that they want for their people, whether it be for their hospitals, for their governments, for their consumer applications. So as we think about our AI export program, we're trying to create ultimately packages which are small enough and economical enough to support the needs of individual countries. And I think sometimes we kind of get caught up in this idea of who wants to build a training cluster, and the reality is it's us, China, and maybe a couple others.
I'm going to shift gears here and talk about a topic that was raised here just a moment ago, reframe it as proof of personhood. Right, so this has been an ongoing question, and it's an increasingly relevant one as we see AI get more sophisticated in its presentation of video, audio, persuasiveness. When we talk about the dawn of the internet, right, and what we've seen since the World Wide Web really took hold, that was really a communications and data layer. And it was necessary in order for us to achieve what we're now achieving with AI. AI is sort of a cognitive layer, right? And it's threatening, and I think that people have a rational basis for concern with their purpose being displaced. Is this something that you talk about? Is it a theme within your teams about whether we are ultimately replacing the purpose of work as we know it. What are your thoughts just generally?
My general view is this technology that is actually empowering for the American worker. It allows them to do their job better, safer, faster, more effectively. It allows them to work on higher order, higher thinking tasks, and ultimately make their contribution something that's more personally rewarding. Obviously, as this technology advances and changes, there's a lot to consider. And as Mr. Foster talked about, sort of the agentic future that we're going to be having, that's obviously going to impact the way that people work. But it's something that's top of mind for us, and it's very much built into the way we think about the workforce programs.
Thank you. Appreciate your insights. And with that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back, and we'll hear next, but last but certainly not least, from